Good morning, everyone. This is Julie Allen from Mike Bailey, and welcome to our Sage 100's Performance Improvement webinar series that we're starting today. And happy Cinco de Mayo as well, too. Appreciate you guys attending with us today. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. We will have everybody in muted on the webinar. You can ask questions through the question and answer screen on the meeting, as well as chat. So if you have any questions, please bring them up. We are encouraging this, as this is our Ask the Expert webinar for today. And my slide's not moving, so let me see if I can, there we go. Today we're going to be covering customizing your Sage 100 with user-defined fields, or more properly known as UDFs, lookups, and screen customizations. Today our presenters and your Ask the Experts are Kate Kruger and Michelle Forsey, and I'm sure plenty of you know who they are, but they are our Sage consultants here. And they're going to take over and show you a couple of items today. And again, lots of questions during this Ask the Expert. We've got 30 minutes, so we will be watching our chat and our questions. And Michelle and Kate, I'm going to turn the time over to you.
All right, thank you, Julie. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see my face and Kate's face. And
my face doesn't look like my stock photo.
I know, right? My hair is like 3 times as long. Definitely, I'm not blonde anymore. That I've maybe like 4 months past my hairdo. We're going, 3 days unwashed. You can see back here. So it's Come As You Are Day. We love all of our clients. Regardless, you can share your screen if you want to. We'd love to see who's on here, but no pressure either way. But we thought it might be nice, so that you could see who we are. So Kate, if it's okay with you, I'm going to add a user-defined field to accounts payable. So I'm going to share my screen. And one of the most common, I don't know, am I sharing my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Julie, oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, good. We got it. Okay. One of the most common user-defined fields that I get asked for, even like as people are starting to use Sage 100, is an account number in vendor maintenance. And it's funny that there is not an account number field. Some people will use the reference number, some people will use the comment. People get kind of creative in there, but realistically, we want a field number or a field for your account number so that you can use those other fields for, I guess, what they were intended. So I will try to go kind of slow in case anybody's taken notes, but just know that we do have, I believe, a video on YouTube, or possibly, well, this will be available on YouTube when we're done. So no pressure to write down notes or anything like that, because we'll make this available after the presentation is over as well. I'm using Sage 2020 in the standard view. So if your Sage doesn't look like this, it's okay. Custom Office has been around since I think version 4.4. And so you should have it. If you don't see something that I see, it's probably because you don't have rights. So under Custom Office, we've got user-defined field and table maintenance in your main folder. So if you click that, it will pull up a screen that looks like this. And these are all of the modules that you have. So I'm going to go into accounts payable and then just kind of look through and see if I can figure out what it is that I'm trying to add it to. And I know that I want to add it to my AP vendor maintenance screen. So I'm going to keep scrolling until I see my AP vendor tables. And then through some deductive reasoning, I can probably guess that it's going to be AP vendor master. If you get stuck, just shoot us over an email. We're happy to tell you, where it should go. Edit fields is where I'm actually going to create a new field. And then that will pull up the screen where I get to tell whatever I want. So if I have any existing user-defined fields, they'll show up here. I don't have any, as you can see. So over on the right, I'm going to click the plus sign. And then we'll just call this account number. And it doesn't really matter if you have spaces or no spaces. It's going to default your description field to whatever your user-defined field name is. And then, of course, you can override it like I just did. And then you hit OK. And it'll take you to the options where you can say what it is that you want it to be. So multi-line is just what it sounds like. It's a text box. You can have, depending on what you need, like thousands of characters. A drop box, a list box, or a checkbox. Those are all options that you can do. Strings, numerics, or dates, just kind of formats that you can see down here. There's a mask. So we're going to do a string because maybe my account numbers have letters or special characters in them. And then the length, this is important. So if you're kind of checking out or checking your Facebook or whatever, check back in. You can always make the field bigger, but you can never make it smaller. So I'm going to set this to be 25. And then that way, if I get government contracts or something, I can always make it bigger. But 25 characters, I think that will cover my power bill. That's probably my longest one. This is the caption that's going to show up in Sage. So if I want to change it there, I can. I can make sure that it's uppercase letters. I can center it, justify it, whatever you want to do. And that's where I'm going to leave this. There's a lot more options in here, but we'll consider those like level 2 classes, if you will. And if we have some time, we can go over what all those mean at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it takes me back here. So if I want to add another user-defined field to this table, I can do that as well. I don't. So I'm just going to hit OK. And then it's going to go out and it's going to update every company code in my system. So it's not just for my ABC company code that I'm in. This field is going to be made available in every company code that's in there. And this sometimes takes a minute.
And while that's running, I want to go ahead and jump in. We did have a question about an item code description and then the extended description, and having a user-defined field to hold either or. So if the extended description is populated, use that instead of the item description, which makes sense because then when you're looking at your lookups, you can see just one description for both fields. That gets a little bit nuanced because there's actually a secret different table that the extended description lives in, and that we can't touch that guy. So it's totally doable, but we would want to do that with a simple script, which quickly I'll mention that scripts in these versions of Sage 100, they don't impact your upgrades. They don't hold you at this version, so you have to pay us more money to upgrade. So they're a really nice way that you can personalize your system. Back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Kate. Okay. So it's done, and you can see it just brought me back to this screen. So now if I want to add something to accounts receivable or sales order or whatever, I can just go through. So make a list. In version 2020 and earlier, everybody has to be out of the system to do that update. So that's something else important to note. You're going to want to do it after hours or during lunch breaks or something along those lines when nobody's in the system. In version 2021, which I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say this or not, but it's on the roadmap, so it's okay. It'll put it into like a pending state. So you can do it during normal business hours, and then it'll just keep trying and trying and trying until it updates, or I think you can schedule it, or you go back in after hours and start it again or something along those lines. But for the time being, in all of the versions that we have, everybody does have to be out of the system. I can go back in and edit those fields if I want, but I'm going to just minimize this for a second. And so now the field exists, right? But we have to make sure that we can see it and use it. So I'm going to go into vendor maintenance. And Kate, if I'm skipping over something here, please feel free to jump in. And let's go to one that actually has data, not one that I've created just, is it Stitch Fix, Uber Eats? You guys can all tell what I do.
Work
Okay.
at home.
Right? Yeah. I like to make vendors that are relevant to me. So Stitch Fix, Uber Eats, those are important to me right now because I can't shop and I can't eat at restaurants. So those are my two biggest best friends right now. We'll just call them best friends. Okay, so once you're into your vendor maintenance screen, decide where you want to add it, where it's going to make sense to you. And before we get in there, I'm going to point out something that not a lot of people know. There's actually two what they call panels on this screen right here. So you've got your tabs, right? And then you've got like the information that's up here in the top, like your vendor number, the name, and then the buttons down at the bottom. So if you want to add it on one of the tabs, that's one panel. If you want to add it up at the top here, where the vendor number is, that's a different panel. So don't panic in just a minute when you're like, where did everything go? Or if you're playing along at home. So you can right click in here and do panel settings and then customizer. And choose what users you want it to be for. Now I'm going to extend to you a word of caution. If there's no reason to hide information from everybody, always do at least all users, not necessarily all companies, but all users, because if you start creating customized panels for just specific users and you want to update something or add a panel, you have to go back in and add it to every single one of those again. So the broader the customization, the easier your life is going to be. We all learned this lesson back in the version 4.5 days, the consultants did, and if we could go back and tell ourselves what we know now, we all would do it. So for me, I think that the account number is something relevant for all of my companies. So I'm going to do all users and all companies and hit OK. My screen went away. It's okay. This is my customizer panel. So here, this is the tab that I was on. My screen's going to get a little busy here for a second. So you can have both the customizer screen and a normal screen open. And I usually recommend this because there's a lot of things that you may not be able to see. So for example, here we've got hold payment, but then you see we've also got electronic payment and standard entry class that are hidden in my live screen. So what you see on your actual vendor maintenance screen may not be what you see on the back end. And it's also important to note, you know, be really careful where you're putting these fields, because if you put them out of the visible window, it will break your panel. And so if that happens, not a big deal. They can be reset really easily. If you break something, you can try doing it in a test company or whatever first, or just call us and we'll help you fix it. But so for me, I am actually going to move some fields around, and I'm going to put my account number down here where the standard entry class is. So let me just move this down out of the way. And I'm going to click on the field, and you see it goes around in red. And I'm just going to move it up here so that I can put my field where I want. Okay. Over on the right is kind of your toolbar or your toolbox. And if you hover over them, you'll see what they are. So don't feel like you have to memorize it or anything, but I know that this is the add field. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm just going to drag a box where I want. I wish that I could let go of this and show you guys something, but if you look down in the lower left-hand corner of this customizer panel, you can see it says add UDF, column 26, row 1. As I make this bigger, you can see the rows change and where it is. So the column is the length. I made mine 25. And then best practice is make it at least 1, but it can be bigger if you want. When you let go, we're going to see that same kind of screen that we did when we added our user defined field. But the cool part about this is it's only going to pull up those fields that we've added. So here you can see I've got AP vendor, and there's my account number. So I'm going to hit select, and it's going to pop it right in there. I can move stuff around so that it's a little bit more pleasing if you're like me and you're a little OCD happy. And that's it. So now I've added that account number to that field. Right-clicking will give me some additional options where, again, if I forgot to click fixed font, if I made the size wrong, I can go back in and I can edit that. So maybe I'm just going to make this 30 so that there's a little bit of space around it. And I'm going to center that text. That looks good.
Spell check.
Spell check.
Spell check.
Spell check is in there as well. Yes, thank you.
I hadn't seen that before.
Even consultants learn things on webinars. So that sounded snarky. It didn't mean to be snarky. I'm sorry.
Well, you're implying I learned something, and that's just not accurate.
Kate knows everything.
No, still haven't learned it.
All right, well, Kate, you can follow along at home. Okay, so I'm done, and I can just go ahead and close out of this, or I can keep adding fields if I'd added more user-defined fields. But we're just going to keep this simple for this demo. So I'm going to close it. It's going to ask me if I want to save. And then I'm going to see one more screen. This is that second panel that I mentioned. So my vendor number, my name, the buttons down at the bottom. So if I actually wanted to add my account number here, up at the top next to the vendor number, I can do that. I just have to close that first screen first. And then this one will pop up and I can just rinse and repeat adding the fields using the add field button. You can't have the field on there twice. Once it's on your panel, that's it. You can't have it on the same maintenance screen, on the same panel. I feel like I could word that a lot better, but I'm not sure how. Okay, so we've added it to the panel. Find the right Sage. Anybody else ever have that problem? Clicking on the wrong thing in the taskbar. Okay, and there's my account number field. So now we'll, yeah, Amazon actually has really long account numbers. I did an EDI thing with a client the other day, and I could not believe the account number that they sent over. It was ridiculous. I guess that's what happens when you have several million, if not billion clients. So for Amazon, maybe my account number, and you can see it's centered as I start to type. I can put in special characters because Amazon really does, they look like this, you guys. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Hey, Michelle, we do have a question that just came in from Anne. Sure. She is asking, will the account number print on their checks?
That is a great question, and we'll get into printing in just a minute. The short answer is, like, as of right now, no. So this is just visible right now in vendor maintenance and vendor inquiry. I think that's it, right, Kate?
Yeah.
Get added anywhere else by default? I mean, it'll be added to some of our report options, right?
Yeah, that's all I was gonna point
out. Yeah. So, but we'll show you that before for sure. So that's my account number for Amazon because it's awesome. I'm gonna just copy that just so that I have it somewhere. Because yeah,
it's easy to say and remember.
Right? Yeah, exactly. If I go into vendor inquiry, it's there, same as anything else. It's grayed out because vendor inquiry is read-only, so it automatically does that for you. The other thing that I want to show you is the customized lookups. So if I need, for whatever reason, to make account number my default lookup field, I can do that. So coming into the lookup, we call these ALE lookups. I don't know what ALE stands for, Kate.
Automated Lookup Engine.
Boom. All right. Okay. So I need to be able to A, see my account number in this lookup, and B, have it be the default lookup so that I can type in that account number here. Because maybe I have 11 Amazon accounts and I need to know which one is which, right? Okay. So I'm going to hit the custom here. And I'll, if we have time, I'll talk about this lookup wizard here, but the custom here, and I'm going to call this account number. I do have the choice to make it a default view so that when this pops up, it uses this by default. And then it's just going to take you through them. These can be a little bit confusing, but if you pay attention to, you know, what it's telling you here, up in the upper left. I forgot my right from my left for a minute, and I didn't want, because I'm on camera, I didn't want to do this. So in the upper left, it'll tell you what it's doing. So these are the fields that are going to be available here: vendor number, name, status, vendor number, name, status. So for me personally, I don't care about any of those. So I'm going to highlight them and move them over. And now I can scroll down here on the left, and it's your added fields, your UDFs, will always be at the bottom. So you can always just scroll right down to the bottom and move those over. And then you see here's all of the other fields that are in here as well. So if you also care about, like, maybe the last date that they made a payment, the last date that they made a purchase, or that you made a purchase, excuse me, and you made a payment because we're in accounts payable, you can add those as well. And you can have as many of these custom lookups as you want. Hitting next, we can apply filters. So if I only wanted to see those vendors that had account numbers, I could. And then this is what we're seeing here. So search vendor number begins with, and then what? So I'm going to call this my account number list. And this is what's going to show up at the top there. And I'm going to search by account number, and I'm going to say that it contains. And then when I hit finish, it pulls up my lookup again. And you can see there's my account number. And down here, my UDF account number is my default field. And I should have noted that you can actually rename that. So if you just wanted it to say account number instead of UDF account number, you can do that. And then it contains. And then here's my view. So if I want to go back to my default view, I certainly can. But by default, it's going to start with account number. And that's what that little asterisk right there means. And I can add filters at the end as well. So if I only want to see those, I thought we had it in is not empty. Not equal to, can I just do not equal to blank?
It tends to, I always just do greater than 0.
That would have worked too. Greater than 0 would work. So
Sometimes.
you do have filters that are there. And that's it. So we've, I mean, that was,
and send it to Excel. Send it.
Oh, okay. So next to select if you have Excel installed on your system. So sometimes if you're working in remote desktop, you may not have Excel installed directly on the remote desktop, but if you do, you'll see this little button here and you can click to send your list to Excel. So this is really handy if you have like a mailing list or something. You can create your custom lookup with the name, address 1, address 2, address 3, city, state, zip, whatever, export it, and then do a mail merge. And it's so easy. And then of course, now we're just in Excel. So whatever you know about Excel is what you can do to filter and group and all that good stuff. Great call, Kate.
My favorite.
So yeah, I really talked a lot. And it took, 15 minutes roughly to add the user-defined field, add it to the screen, create a custom lookup, and add it to Excel. So if your boss is not on this call, you can do all of this and be like, look how cool I am, Mr. Bossman or Mrs. Bossman. No, okay, Mrs. Bossman, that doesn't work, but you guys get the idea. You all know me. Okay, so we had the question about, hold on, Kate, did I skip anything? Are we good?
Unmute. Just the default report, like it'll show up already on some reports. And but then no, that was the last.
Okay, so if I come into reports and I do vendor listing, in the lookup, there we go, down towards the bottom, by default, that account number will be added. So then I can start to filter my reports by that lookup as well. And I think that's on most of the reports that are in there that use vendor as like the primary table. So you can kind of play around with that. And if you're not seeing what you're expecting to see, then just give us a holler. So adding it to checks and reports. This is a little trickier because all of the reports within Sage, oh, I already have it open. All of the reports within Sage use what's called work tables. Anything that ends in a work here is a report. So if we come in and we find AP check, assuming that you want it to be on the check itself, you would add it to the header. Whoops, here. If you want it to be on the stub, you would add it to check detail. So,
or check work, Michelle.
Oh, check work. I forgot. Yeah.
Same concept. Just
yeah. I'm on my own here. So this would be adding it to the actual check field or to the check screen. So like your check and electronic payment maintenance or your manual check and payment entry, those would be your check header or manual check header. But Kate is correct, and thank you for keeping me online. we've got the check work. So that's going to be the actual check, and then the check stub work. So let's add it to the actual check and assume that that's where you want it to be. Same process, right click, edit fields, and it's going to pull up the same type of screen. Going to hit the plus sign. Doesn't have to be named the same thing. Best practices, you probably should name it the same thing, because then if you ever have to like Sherlock Holmes it, you can go back through and kind of follow everything. You can see here, because it's a work table and it's a report, we can't actually enter any information in. It's only going to read that information and put it on the report itself. So the manual entry that we did last time is not available, and now it's doing a business object. So it's going to go out and it's going to pull an object from another table. So this takes a little trial and error, you know, what it is that you're doing. So you can just kind of click through and play, or again, just email us. We're happy to do it. So if I click down here, I see AP vendor. Aha, now that's where my account number field actually lives. So if I click that, and then this one, these are all the fields that I have available. And I scroll all the way to the bottom, because remember, user-defined fields are always at the bottom, and there's my account number. So this is the field that we're doing. This is the table that we're pulling from. And this is the actual field that we're going to link to this work table. So I'll go ahead and update this.
Michelle, while you're doing that, we did have one more question come in. They're asking, how do you add year-to-date sales to a lookup?
That would require custom scripting. Unfortunately, it's a calculation. And so if you need it to sum any kind of data, it would be a customization. Kate, you're making a face. Am I wrong?
That's my thinking really hard face. Yeah, I think Michelle's right there. The only one that I think we could do with a user-defined field is just like lifetime sales, because it just is an accumulation, and you can totally do that with user-defined field. But Michelle's right, to have it be smart enough to know what's this year and what's not would be a script.
But it is possible. I would like to say that anything is possible inside of Sage for the right price, but you know, the crazier you get, the more expensive it gets. But that one, I don't feel like it would be crazy. So if you do need something like that, just Kate and I both do custom scripting. It's like Kate said, it doesn't affect upgrades. They just carry through beautifully. So you just kind of pay for it once and then leave it alone until you need something changed. Okay, so that updated. And now if I guess we should probably actually get a check. We've got 3 minutes here. So
I was just gonna say 3 minutes. So
yep, I'm gonna work really, really fast here. So for those of you that are not familiar with what it is that I am doing, just gonna kind of roll through. I'm only gonna show you that it is available in Crystal Reports now. So me just adding it to the work table doesn't automatically add it to your check form, because obviously you may want it somewhere different than somebody else, and so then you still have to add it to the Crystal Report. But without adding it to the work table itself, it's not even available as a field in your report. So while I'm doing this, I guess I will note that if we sparked your interest today and you want to know more, Julie or Tiffany can certainly facilitate that. Julie, do you want to talk about that here?
sure. Now, just let us know. Like I said, anytime you need any help with any of setting up or additional training on user-defined fields, or maybe we can get into some custom scripting for the girls, just reach out to your CSM. It's either myself, Julie Allen, Tiffany Stone, or Lawrence Parsons as well too. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. We've got 6 or 5 more of these small webinars that we're going to do. And as soon as Michelle finishes this little piece, I'll pull up those additional webinars for you to view, knowing that you'll be getting other emails to register for them as well too.
Yep, and it's,
go ahead.
I was just going to say it's done. So I added, I did have to validate my database because I haven't done this before in this company code. But here's my UDF account number, and then I can just click and drag it wherever it makes sense on the check. And then now it will automatically print on those checks. So that's all.
If you'll stop sharing, Michelle, real quick, then I'll pull
Got it.
up mine. All right. Well, we again thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first in 6 series that we will be having. We will be ending our series with another Ask the Expert, so you'll have a chance to be able to meet with Michelle and Kate again on closing and Ask the Experts. So please send any questions prior to our Ask the Experts, as we like to be able to answer most of your questions. And thank you for those that did respond to with some questions. We do appreciate it. We will be sending out a recording of this webinar as well too. But you can see on the screen here that we do have 6 upcoming ones. The one that I do want to print out or point out to is the Spring Tech Connect 2020. We usually hold these spring and fall. This one we are not able to do in person or on site, so that one is scheduled for the 19th, but it's in the afternoon and it lasts 2 hours. So this one gets a little bit into detail in what's coming up with Sage and the new releases and get you guys all updated. So we're looking forward to 5 more of these, and we hope that you all could join us for them. And you guys all have a great day. Kate, Michelle, thank you so much. We do appreciate your expertise and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks everybody.